Parashat Shemini. So it's the 8th day, which is really the first day. It was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This is the first day that Aaron is going to do the service. The first 7 days, Moshe Rabbeinu did it, and the Shekhinah did not come down. Now Moshe says to Aaron, you could bring the Shekhinah down, right? You're the one that's meant to do this. And he says to him, Kach lecha egel ben bakar lechatat v'ay le'olah. So you should bring as your own personal offering a chatat and an olah. What was the chatat made out of? An egel. And certainly the egel reminded him of the egel azav, which he played a major part in. Which is why, of course, in Pasuk Zayin, when Moshe says, V'yomer Moshe al Aaron krav el ha-mizbeach, he had to cajole him to go to the Mizbeach. And Rashi says he was embarrassed. Why was he embarrassed? Because the fact that he had to bring as a sin offering an egel reminded him, like, how am I worthy? How can I come and do the avodah when I was one of the main players in the egel azav, in the sin of the golden calf? But he says to him, no, despite that, you have to bring. In fact, the chatat, your chatat is a sin offering for the golden calf, meaning let's get that out of the way. Let's get that out of the way at the onset, and then you'll bring an oila. And then Moshe Rabbeinu tells him, he says, Vel b'nei Yisrael tedaber lemor, right? After Aaron brings his personal sin offering and his personal burnt offering, his ola. So then Hashem says to Moshe, tell b'nei Yisrael, they have to also bring se'ir izim l'chatat, they have to bring a sin offering, they have to bring an egel, a keves, they have to bring a ola, they have to bring shlamim. So it says in the Pasuk, the Vayikrav Aaron el ha-mizbeach, Vayishchat et egel achat et shelo. So it says that Aaron actually brought his egel as his personal sin offering. And then it says, Vayishchat et ha'ola, and then he shechted his ola. The Pasuk tells us that he then brought the chatat, the oila, and the shlamim of Klal Yisrael. And in Pasuk Tet Vav, he says, Vayakrev et korban ha'am. Now he's bringing the sacrifice of the nation. Vayikach et sir chatat asher la'am, vayishchateu, vayichateu karishon. It says that he brought the people's sin offering, he slaughtered it, he fulfilled it, karishon, like the first. What does karishon mean? This was the first. For the Jewish people, this was the first sin offering that Aaron ever brought on their behalf. So what does it mean? He brought this like he brought the first, karishon. So Rashi says, what is karishon? Ke'egel shelo. He brought their sin offering the same way he brought his own egel, his own sin offering. What's Rashi coming to tell us? So Rashi's coming to tell us an amazing thing. He's telling us that Aaron brought their sin offering with the same enthusiasm, with the same excitement as he brought his own. Now, why is that such a commendable thing? Because, if a person, let's say, brings a sin offering once a year or once a month, so they're not going to understand. It doesn't happen all the time, so therefore, it's been so long since you brought the last one, so therefore, you bring this one with an excitement, with a zeal, with a passion, with an enthusiasm. But over here, he had just brought his own chatat an hour ago, maybe an hour ago, right? He just brought his own. Now he's bringing another chatat. He's bringing the second sin offering of his career. That one is for the Jewish people. And what? It says over here, he brought it like with the same enthusiasm as he brought his own. And you find that was the greatness of Aaron HaKohen. You also find that later on in Parshat, I think, Balotcha, later on, when it talks about how he used to kindle the menorah. So over there as well, he's praised for Vayas Ken Aaron, that Aaron did exactly like he was told. Vayas Ken Aaron, El Mul Pnei HaMenorah, right? Rashi says, Lahagid Shvacho Shel Aaron Shloshina, to show the praise of Aaron that he didn't change. I mean, he didn't change. So the answer is, of course, that we know that this is one of the most powerful desires of humanity. What is one of the most powerful yetzers of humanity? To look for something new. We get bored doing the same thing day in and day out. It gets old. It gets routine. And we're looking for something new. And that's always, if you look at history throughout Jewish history, that's always what got the Jewish people into trouble. You can actually, Jewish history follows a secular pattern. It's a cycle. The Jewish people are expelled from where they are. Now they've come to a new place. Everything's new. And they actually have to rally around the Torah. So then they rally around the Torah. They invest in learning Torah, in achieving greatness in learning. But then the kids, okay, so then you have the next generation also achieves excellence in Torah. Eventually, one generation, the next generation, they say, you know what? I'm bored. Yeah, my father, I'm going to do the same thing that my father did, that my grandfather did, that my great-grandfather did. Let me venture off. And make my own mark in life. So a person might want to get involved in the government. He might want to get involved in other areas, in other careers. And so then the Jewish people slowly start to assimilate. That leads to assimilation. Eventually that leads to more trials, more tribulations, etc. And then it becomes a downward spiral. This has been our undoing for so long, for thousands of years, that we crave newness. We crave chidush. So of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to find chidush in Limud Torah. That's why Limud Torah study could be as vast. It's the Talmud is wider than the ocean. A person could always find chidush, but that requires a tremendous commitment. That requires a person to fight off his yetzer and say, you know what? I'm happy dedicating my life to Torah and mitzvahs. Yes, my father was in learning, but you know what? It's okay. I don't have to do something different than my father. So that's one level. One level is to stick with what works, to stick with the Jewish formula, which is keeping Torah and learning Torah. But then, to be able to keep Torah and to be able to learn Torah with the same enthusiasm as if it's the first time around, that's something that is unbelievable. Aaron HaKohen was able to achieve that. It says over here that even though it wasn't the first time he's bringing the sin offering, it's karishon. It's always karishon. What are we stressing by the menorah? Every day it was the same thing. It was the same menorah, lighting the same 7 flames. He would clean it out. He would relight. Every day it was the same thing. What does it say? Vayasken Aaron. What's Rashi saying that the Torah is praising Aaron for not changing? That means, how could a person do the same thing every single day in and day out, the same 7, Maybe let's do it different this time. Let's be Mishana. Let's change. Right? It's not for nothing that there's a universal slogan called new and improved. Everyone knows, right? Right? Marketing uses it all the time. New and improved, which means new is improved. Right? We have this mentality that if it's new, it must be better. It's very hard to keep the old fresh. So we want new and we want improved. Aaron HaKohen, whether it came to the korbanot, that he brought the korbanot day in and day out, and it was always karishon. It was with the enthusiasm like it was the first time that he brought the chatat. And let's remember, not only was he enthusiastic when he brought his own sin offering because it was the first korban he ever brought. Not only that, but just imagine, he understood that this sin offering was going to allow him to atone for his role in the golden calf. So just imagine, now magnify his excitement 100-fold. Not only is it exciting because it's the first korban he's ever brought, but it's also exciting because look what's happening. He's achieving atonement for this thing that he's been embarrassed about for the last few months. So therefore, imagine his enthusiasm. And the fact that he could bring korbanot day in and day out, karishon, with the same enthusiasm. The fact he could light the candles, he could light the menorah every day, day in and day out, with the same enthusiasm, without feeling a need to improve, to change, to make it exciting. The fact that he found it exciting every day is an amazing thing. And that's something that's extremely hard for us to emulate. But we have to try to emulate that. And that's what the lesson is that the Torah is telling us over here. We have to try to find the excitement in the mitzvahs and in the Torah study that we do, even though it's routine. We should not allow it, even though it is a routine. It's a daily regimen. It's a daily routine. We have to try to not allow it to become routine. We have to try to find the chidush, the novelty, the newness in it, the freshness in it. And that's really one of the hardest things that faces a Torah observant Jew. especially someone who's been fulfilling Torah his whole life. How many prayers have we davened? If we daven 3 times a day for our entire lives, we're already on what, number 20,000, 30,000 Shemona Esreis. To be able to daven your 30,000th Shemona Esrei like it was your first. To be able to put on tefillin for your 10,000th time like it was the first day when you were bar mitzvah. It's very, very hard to do. But the Torah tells us that Aaron HaKohen was able to do it. And as children of Aaron HaKohen and of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we have to try to emulate those ways and to try to do the same as well.